Before it gets started, I wanted to give whoever's listening a little bit of insight on what this podcast is about. Almost everyone has gone through a breakup of some sort, whether that be a breakup with an ex-partner or an ex-friend. Breakups are obviously devastating and hard, but they shape us into the people that we are today. My hope for this podcast is to make you realize that you aren't alone when it comes to going through a breakup. You can get through it, and hopefully learn something from it at the end of the day. This is Obliterate Podcast. I'm your host, Christine Nikolic. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or feelings about me, my guest, or just the podcast in general, feel free to email me at obliteratepodcast@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Instagram at obliteratepodcast. My guest today is Devin. He's originally from Indiana, but moved to Chicago to pursue his comedy and music career. In this episode, Devin talks about his experience being in a band in small-town Indiana, why they broke up, and how this relationship with his ex-bandmates showed him who his true friends really are. This is Devin and the Ex-Bandmates. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
It's been a while since I've seen you.
I know. It's been a gazillion years. What have you been up to?
I forget. I guess I got a new job. I work at a nonprofit now.
Whoa, okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
Got a new boyfriend.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I'm dating someone. Yeah, I've been dating him for about a year now.
Okay.
Trying to think of what else. I got a new place. Soon my new place.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's about it. Just working, living life. I haven't been doing much improv lately.
Really?
Yeah, I've been kind of missing it. But
Improv's the worst art form.
but enough about me. What have you been up to?
Oh, just, shows, writing, being a bum, you know what I mean? Just hanging out.
What have you been writing?
Just doing solo stuff, and also I wrote a pilot, and I gotta finish that off and send it to someone soon. But
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, just trying to make it. Trying to make it in America, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Exactly.
Are you from Chicago?
No, I'm from Indiana.
What part?
Fort Wayne, so really close to Ohio.
Okay, yeah, I went to Ball State.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
my sister went there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was dope. Okay.
And when did you move to Chicago?
Almost 5 years ago. Crazy.
Oh, wow.
I know. It was
Okay.
January 2015.
Okay, well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. This is nuts.
Do you think you want to stay?
I want to stay as long as I possibly can. I love Chicago.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, the industry here is like forcing me to move. And I don't know.
Are you hoping to, go out to LA and act? Is that what your ultimate goal is, being an actor, or what is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I keep bouncing around the ideas of New York and LA, and I don't know. It seems like New York is really big for stand up and people who are writers for late night shows, which isn't the kind of writing I do. And LA is very actor centric, but you also can do TV show writing. So I don't know.
That's true, yeah. So who are you talking about today?
I'm talking about an old band that I was in.
Okay. What was the band?
The band was called Small Kingdoms.
Okay,
Yes.
That's a cool band name.
Yes, it was very cool.
How long were you in this band? How long were you guys together?
It was about 2.5 years, but we the thing about it was an offshoot of 2 other bands that kind of stopped and then joined forces.
Okay.
But we were all a part of the same circle of friends. So
Okay.
it was it was a very long process to be in this band, but yeah.
Can you explain the process?
So I was in another band called the Ghost Claps. And I was friends with this band called You and the Sun. This is all in Indiana and stupid. But You and the Sun was this pop hardcore. I don't know what you would even call it. It was a hardcore band, but they were very poppy, but they weren't pop punk. I hesitate to call it screamo, but I don't know.
Was there some screaming involved?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very ignorant as far as like what's emo, what's screamo, what's hardcore, what's metal.
There is a fine line.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's a lot of yelling, and I'm sure someone who's smarter than me could tell the difference, but I don't know. But I was friends with them. They were super cool, and like when I became friends with them, they would have me rap at their shows, and I would like open up their set with like a freestyle.
Okay.
And then so we would just always hang out. And then when I started my band, the Ghost Claps, we would start doing shows together here and there.
Okay.
And so like we were all really good friends. And then eventually my band broke up and their band kind of teetered out. And then we kind of took the remaining members who wanted to do music, and we started a band called Small Kingdoms. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys were together for 2 years.
Yeah.
Did you guys tour?
No, not really. I mean, touring in the sense that we did gigs in other places, but not like we weren't like, all right, we're gonna take 2 weeks out, get a bus, and drive around. It's like we would get gigs in other places and do those specific places. Yeah.
What was the style of this band?
So I think the word again, this is my ignorance about music. Music that isn't like rap. I think it was considered like post rock.
Okay.
Where it was, something like that. I don't know, but it was like, it kind of like, so the Ghost Claps was very much an indie rock band that had me rapping in it.
Okay.
And they were like a hardcore band, so it was kind of like a mellower version of what they were, and like a more higher version of what the Ghost Claps were. And then I would just rap and do my thing, and I'd sing and do all the other stuff. Yeah.
Did you guys hang out all the time, or was it kind of
all the time? We very much an inseparable group, and it created problems all the time. Yeah, it's like everyone slept with everyone's girlfriends. Thank God I never really had a serious girlfriend, so I never ran into that issue. But man, oh man, can you tell me those stories? It was just a very incestuous group. So we would have,
how many members was it?
So the Ghost Claps was like 6 to 7 members, because sometimes we would have an extra percussion person.
Okay.
And then the whole group of friends was a little bit bigger than that. But some of those situations were like towards the end of the band being a band, one person broke up with their girlfriend, and then one of the people in the band start dating them, and just and that would just kind of happen a lot, and it was just bad vibes.
Yeah. I wonder how often that happens in, like, not that you guys are an actual band, but like actual bands that are touring and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and also the thing about it is, we're a small town in Indiana. It's not like, I mean, in my mind there were tons of options, but I guess to them there weren't. I don't know.
So were you guys kind of like a big deal in your town?
We were, yeah.
That's cool.
So that was a thing.
So it was 7 of you guys in the band that you're talking about. And what was that band name again? Sorry.
Small Kingdoms.
Small Kingdoms. Yeah. Okay. And you don't talk to any of them anymore?
No, I mean, well, okay, I do kind of talk to one. Her name is Jo. And sometimes I talk to this one dude named James, but not like very casual, like internet commenting on a picture type stuff. Never like conversations.
Okay. What was it like when you guys were in your prime? Like, what was your relationship like?
I mean, we had really good times. It was a really fun group. It was always like it was very ego driven. It was very like I don't know. That's
Was this like in college, in high school?
It was high school / college. And
okay.
It was not a healthy group. Well, I guess Small Kingdom was all college. Other bands happened high school through college.
Okay.
But yeah. And the friendship happened late high school, continued through college. But yeah. But I mean, yeah, we had fun. You know what I mean? Like, it was in Indiana, in any small town in Indiana, if you're like a smidge popular, it feels like you're on top of the world. And like, I don't know, to me it was always just like, I was always very much like, how are we going to push this to the next level? And I think other people were very much, I'm enjoying being popular with the girls and other dumb stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So do you remember like any of the good times?
Oh, the good times were great. I mean, doing a show is always just super fun. And just doing shows and being good and just like, everything clicking. Or like, the recording process and that being, like, the recording process sucks. It's always boring, especially with like in a band where it's like you have to record every instrument by itself or something. But when we would have the music done and we would get like physical copies and look at those, and that'd be really exciting. And we'd do promotional shoots, just
That's
like
cool.
little things like that were always really exciting and fun. Yeah.
Do you still have like your albums?
I think somewhere, but I don't know. I do have all of the music on an old iPod, in which I do not have a charger for, so I don't know how I would listen to it. I'm sure I can like find one on eBay or something stupid, but yeah, I'm like not in a rush.
So no one's like uploaded anything to Spotify?
No. Well, I think we do have a Bandcamp maybe, but this was like right before Spotify became like a huge thing. Like streaming was like the thing.
Okay.
So it was more so like we try to have physical copies. We put things on Bandcamp. And I don't think at that time we knew how to put something on like iTunes or Spotify. Now it's super easy, but yeah.
Did you guys have any music videos?
No, we never. No, I don't think we ever really had a music video. We always talked about wanting to do one, but I think like I don't think we ever decided what song it would be that we all agreed on. I don't think we all decided on like what style the video would be. So yeah, a video never came to fruition.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was there like a diva in the band, or were you all just like dueling divas?
If there was one I think there might have been one diva, and he was kind of one of the main songwriters. But like I don't know, diva. Yeah, I guess I would consider him the diva. He was the person who eventually dated someone's girlfriend.
Are they still together?
Not at all.
Okay.
She hates him.
Oh no.
Yeah. He's not that great of a guy. He was super talented, but he was also very particular, very perfectionist. Very much wanted things to be his way. That typical band stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like thinking they're too cool.
Yeah, exactly.
What was his role?
I mean, so he wrote a lot of, he would like start off a lot of the ideas. So he would be like the main guitar songwriter.
Okay.
So he would like come in with the main riff, maybe come in with some initial lyrics, and then a lot of us would just add stuff to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys were together for 2 years, you said.
Mm-hmm.
When was the do you remember kind of the time when you were like, okay, this is going to shit?
Oh, man. Well, I think of just like, there was another band.
Okay.
Their name was Looking for Astronauts.
Ooh,
And
these are all really cool band names.
I know, right? And they were great. But they were also like our competition in a weird way. And like we were extremely different. We shouldn't have considered each other competition at all. But like in their minds, it was like, oh, we're the best band in this small Indiana town. All the girls like us, blah blah blah. And it became very like not good. And so what ended up starting to happen is we would start to have like we would start to actually collab, and we started to become friends with them, but not in a good way. It was always very much like there is hostility underneath this.
Yikes.
And to me it was very obvious. But I think looking back, that was the start of the
Okay.
easily.
So were you guys just like collabing all the time with them, or?
Well, what would happen is we would always be booked together because we would, as the favorite bands in this Indiana town, we would be booked on a lot of the similar shows, and then we would go out of town, and a lot of the people who book venues out there are like, hey, both those bands are good, let's get them both. So it wasn't like a collab kind of thing. We did talk about one time, speaking back to music videos, we had this idea to combine two of our songs and like have like one of their songs lead into one of ours and make a video out of that. We never ended up doing it, but it would have been really cool if we did it. Yeah.
So did you guys get paid at these venues?
We did get paid. Yeah.
Was it like good money?
It was okay. I mean, it was enough to press CDs for ourselves. I mean, we put all the money back into band merch and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So it wasn't like crazy, but it was good. We never had to pay out of pocket for much stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So why'd you guys break up? Like, what was the...
So, going back to Looking for Astronauts and the hostility that was there. Basically, we had members quit our band to join them.
Okay.
And then eventually it was like, some of the other members of Small Kingdoms were like, I don't think they were necessarily like looking to continue in the music realm too much. So when we had like the main songwriter leave and then plus the main drummer leave, it was like, so we were left with a guitarist who was kind of not all the way into it anymore, me, a bassist, and another drummer. And so it just kind of like came off to the point where I was like, all right, well, this obviously is a little bit in dysfunction. I can do my own music, and it just became that.
Did anyone else try to kind of like salvage the band, or was everyone kind of just like, bye?
Well, they tried to salvage it later.
Okay.
So those two people who joined the other band eventually were like, hey, I hate Looking for Astronauts. Let's start Small Kingdoms again. I don't quite know. I mean, I know that with Looking for Astronauts, they went through a lot of members. It was essentially, if I can remember correctly, it was these two people, a guitarist and a bassist, who kind of were the main people. And then they would kind of cycle through different singers, and then they would cycle through different drummers. And I think eventually just like those people were just, I imagine they were just jerks. And so I think the people who left our band and joined theirs realized that at some point and then wanted to start things back up. But I think at that point we were all kind of moving on, yeah.
After you guys broke up, like, how did you guys just stop talking to each other?
What really happened? Well, so, with all the girlfriend drama stuff, that was a huge contributing factor. I had other friends outside of the band, and I think just like looking at how everyone treated everyone made me take a step back. And I also just, I don't know, I lost a lot of trust in them. And so that kind of just made me refocus my time on people who I thought, were better around me. And then I just hung out with them.
Why did you lose trust? Just because of the girlfriend stuff, or?
I mean, it was because of them switching to that band. The way they kind of, when they reapproached me to want to start Small Kingdoms again, I had always gotten the vibe that I was the only I was only black in the group.
Okay.
And I was also, I was the rapper. And I also sang, but like I was like the rap person. And I think like I'd always gotten the vibe that I was like, I don't know if these people really like me or they're keeping me around because I can make a band just by virtue of a rapper being on a band. I make that band unique. And so when they left in the way that they did, without really like a warning or a conversation, very much like they left because they thought they had more potential with Looking for Astronauts. I was like, all right, well then it wasn't about doing this with the people you care about, your friends. It's about something else. And my mentality was like, if we're going to find success, I want to do it with, my friends. And that wasn't them. And so it was like, you know what? I don't think we're on the same page. So I don't really trust you in that way. And I would just, it's hard to go back to people when you're having a good time with other people, man. It's
true.
I was having a good time with my friends.
Yeah.
Being solo, so yeah.
So you just kind of made like a whole new friend group, and these people were just...
Well, it wasn't like a whole new friend group. It was just people who I had also hung out with. I wasn't in the band with, you know what I mean? And so I just spent more time with them. And I started to realize, like, I have a lot more fun with these people, and they seem to, they're nice to me. And it's not dependent on what success I bring to them. It's just, it's healthy.
Do you think that a lot of the bandmates had, like, side conversations without you?
I don't know. I wouldn't imagine... But I don't know. I'm sure maybe they would have loved to have brought me to Looking for Astronauts, but then they would have been 4 singers deep. Because they had, singers. Because the main guitarist in Small Kingdoms went over to them and they sing, and then Looking for Astronauts they have a lead singer who was a girl and I forget her name, but she was nice though. Which very strange that she was in that group. And then they would have the other guitarist singer. So that would have been 3 singers for them, and then adding me would have been 4. And it's like maybe they were just like, we love Devin, but that would be a mess. I don't know. Maybe that's how it went. But I was like, it's not my problem. You know what I mean? I was like, can't figure it out. Yeah.
So you didn't really care enough to ask? Were you kind of just done with it?
No, I mean, because they never had a conversation with us before they made the decision. It was very much like one day they had just decided and told us, hey, we're leaving the band. We're going to join Looking for Astronauts. Yeah.
Okay. So when was the last time you talked to all these people?
I don't know. I don't think I have talked to them. Not in person. Yeah, definitely not in person since then. Everything else has been me and that one guitarist, though. They started to do solo music afterwards, and they asked me to this is when I was moved to Chicago. They asked me if I wanted to feature on some of their songs. So they sent me a couple songs, and I put verses on them. But other than that, I haven't had a face-to-face conversation with any of them since then. Yeah, since
how long has that been?
2012.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. I know, it's going on 10.
Yeah, seriously.
Going on 10.
How does it feel, knowing you probably will never talk to them again?
Okay. I will always cherish that time. I think it taught me a lot. And the work ethic that it takes to make that kind of music, I think has helped me a lot in the comedy world. But I don't miss the feeling of not knowing why someone has me around, or just calling into question my quality. Again, maybe we were all young, we were all with lofty goals, and we're a small town in Indiana, not knowing how anything's gonna work or how we're gonna make it through or anything. So it's not ill will, but it's the trust was definitely gone for a very long time, and now it's things have just changed so much that's I don't really necessarily feel the need to go back and restart those friendships. I mean, I don't know what they're doing now. Yeah.
Do you think it's weird, knowing that they were such a big part of your life at one point, and they'll never be that again? Or is it kind of just that's life?
I think it would be more weird if I wasn't still friends with other people who I was also friends with at that same time.
Okay.
So when I say I would hang out with my other friends instead, there's this one friend, he's one of my best friends in the world. I was the best man at his wedding. If I ever get married, he'll be the best man in mine. And so is another friend of mine. She's amazing. She lives in Boston. And we were all friends around that same time too. They just weren't in the band with me, and I kept being friends with them. And so I think it would have feel weird if I didn't have a part of that past with me still, but I still do. It's just in the form of 2 people and not 6.
Do you think that half the reason why you don't talk to him anymore is because he moved, or?
I think about that a lot, actually. What would my life be like if I never left Indiana, and would I still be friends with these people? I don't know, but I do like the fact that I'm here. I do like the friends I have now, and and the people who I still know from Indiana are the best people in the world to me.
You were saying that you've learned a lot from that experience. What have you learned?
Well, I mean, so in the comedy world, it's so I don't do improv as we kind of joked about, but I do solo character kind of stuff, and I open for a bunch of different shows. And to do that as much as I do, if I'm not a part of an improv team, or I'm not doing sketch shows consistently, it takes a lot of work ethic just to continuously write new characters, put stuff up, test it, make sure it's good, and then do it at these important shows. I don't think I would be able to have one of the biggest things I talk to comedians about is when it comes to writing is a lot of people just don't know how to sit down and write, which is when you're in a band, that's a lot of what you do is you sit down and you write lyrics, or you come up with music, or you're in a studio and you're recording something 15 times trying to get the right thing. And it's that part of things is all like, that's like the editing process, that's like the work process, and like I'm used to that. So it's like, whereas a lot of comedians can seemingly, they feel most comfortable just going, like being up on their feet and doing something. That's the improv world, and that's amazing, and that's that's a quality that I wish I had sometimes. But like the whole like alone work and just like the little work, like that kind of stuff, like I am like really tuned into that, and I don't think I would have had that if it wasn't for my music experience.
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like I have such a hard time just sitting down and writing. I
yeah.
can't do it.
And it's like, and I totally get that. And it's just like I just had to teach myself that from a very early age. Every single person who does comedy says like they just like sitting down and writing is like the worst for them. You have to enjoy the process. And that's something you don't learn unless you do it consistently. It's like how to find the joy in this part of it.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Do you like solo more than like being in a band?
It's so weird because I just love like the feeling of performing in a band is great. Dealing with those kind of personality, and especially because most bands are made up of all men, and men suck, especially the younger they are. They suck. When a man is like 1 year old, they suck the worst. They're not good until they're like 36. And so like, I don't know. So I just like work with a bunch of dudes who all they care about is like hooking up with girls who like, and that wasn't fun. That always made me feel like, one, I don't want any of this stuff. It was very weird because I was always really good friends with their girlfriends. And they were so mean to them.
Oh, that's so sad.
They were, and I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't get it. I don't know why you're with each other. I don't get it.
You do like being solo?
Yeah, I guess.
How do you think this relationship shaped you as a person today?
Oh man, I think at first it gave me a very me against the world attitude. But then I think eventually it just really taught me. And this has kind of been true throughout my entire life. Is like when a bad thing happens, I really learn who like the most important people in my life are. Because when that, broke apart, I still had my two other best friends who I hung out with all the time. And they were there for me and they were awesome. And I never had to question where I was with them. And I think it really just taught me that like some things aren't bad. Sometimes you're just around bad people. Or at least the wrong people for you. And so it wasn't like music was a bad experience, or it wasn't like being in a band sucked. It's just like, you know what? These were the wrong people in the wrong time for me.
Who do you think you were then compared to who you are now?
Oh, a bitter, angry youth who just wanted to fucking tear people apart. I was just angry. I was just really angry all the time. And like, just because like, I just like, I was already like black kid in a very white town, grew up on the white side of town, went to white schools, was now in this very white band, but thought I could trust them and thought they were in my corner. And then when I learned they weren't in my corner, it was like more than any breakup I've had at that point. I think that hurt me the most. And because of just the amount of faith that I kind of put in them to be the people who have my back. And so, like, that's who I was then. But now it's just like, I look back and I'm like, that anger was deserved and that anger was real. But it's like, I don't know. There's something to be said about looking back in those situations and just realizing that everyone was young and stupid. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. It just seemed like everyone was selfish.
Yeah, exactly. And, it was the kind of selfishness that was just bred from fear of having to spend the rest of your life in a small town in Indiana. I think everyone was just in such a hurry to like find success and get out, and it just caused people to just make fear decisions. You know what I mean?
Are a lot of them still living there?
I think so. Yeah, I know one person other than me has moved. I don't really know about the other ones, but I think they're still there.
Interesting. Yeah. What's your life like now?
Oh man, still a mess. No, I mean life's pretty good. Comedy stuff is going well, successful. I'm getting opportunities that are really cool. It's still one of those things where it's like I don't know how I'm going to get past the certain markers and lines that I've made for myself, and make this a full-time thing, but you know, I get paid for things that I do. I have an agent. I'm going to be on an Amazon Prime show soon.
Oh.
I can't say what it is legally
That's
until
exciting.
it premieres, but yeah. But I don't know, cool things are happening, and I think I have much more. I think I have a much better idea of what I deserve and who should be around me. And I think that's more than any comedy success or music success or anything like that. I think that's the most important thing I've taken from my entire life.
Would you ever be in a band again?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I still do music. I just actually released some music on Monday, but
Like
yeah,
with other people, or was it a solo?
oh,
thing?
just me, just solo.
That's
But
cool.
like, I love that. I love indie rock. I think it's an amazing genre. My favorite band is The Strokes. I also love a band called Tennis. I just love the way like a guitar sounds, and so I would love to be in a band again. But I'm also just like, I don't know, man. I'm getting old. Like, I don't know, and I shouldn't be ageist, but it does feel like at a certain age you're just trying to do music. Like, I don't know, it doesn't look as cool.
When do you feel like you finally got over this breakup with this band?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd probably say like a year or two after I moved to Chicago. Yeah. I think once I really had just like created a new life and had just started on to other stuff, I think I just got I think there's just enough space between, you know, this point and that point that I was able to just have more perspective around it.
Do you have any like last words of wisdom for people that are
Oh, man.
going through like transitions
Sure.
in life?
I'll say that if anyone is angry at anyone, respect that anger. That anger has a place, but it doesn't mean that is the end of the story. And explore things. And if you gotta be angry for a year, be angry for a year. If you gotta be angry for 10 years, be angry for 10 years. Let the anger have a place, and don't deny it. But just know that like it doesn't have to stay if you don't want it to. It's always a bit of a choice.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me. This is great.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you asking me.
Yeah, of course. I think the main thing I'd like everyone to take away from this episode with Devin is to surround yourself with people who are in your corner. If you have a friendship that seems one-sided, maybe it's time to distance yourself from that person for a while, or have a real conversation with them as to why you feel that way. It's important to surround yourself with people who lift you up and make you feel good. I think ultimately, you have to trust yourself and realize you deserve to have people in your life who want to see you succeed, not people who are friends with you just so they can succeed. I'd also like to mention that Devin has a lot of cool comedy and musical things happening right now. And here's what he has to say about that.
If you ever want to see me do dumb comedy stuff, I am a part of a show called Studio 11. That's every Friday at IO, 10:30. Find me on Facebook. I don't give you a comp. You always get a ton of comps, and we never use them all. So if you ever want to come for free, just let me know. And then I just released some music. It's called Bars under my rapper name, Debonair Status. It's on Spotify and iTunes and all that other goofy stuff. I think that's about it.
Obliterate Podcast is produced by me, Christine Nikolic. Special thanks to Diala for providing the theme music. Please follow Obliterate Podcast on Instagram. And if you have any questions, feedback, or are interested in being a future guest, feel free to email me at obliteratepodcast@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share this podcast with your friends and family. And thanks so much for listening. My name's Christine Nikolic, and this is Obliterate Podcast.